Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and label cytokines to the side here. And also over here. There are a couple of different cytokines. Most of them actually do the same job, which is they attract other cells to the area. So yesterday I was trying to figure out an analogy for cytokines, and I finally read one last night that I thought kind of made sense. Cytokines are like guard dogs. So if there's an intruder, like the pathogen, the guard dogs will start barking and attract more things to the area. Okay? So the cytokines are just like an alert. They don't actually do anything to the pathogen. On the cell-mediated immunity side, cytokines might attract a type of cell known as a killer T cell, or it can attract cytotoxic T cells. I'm going to go ahead and draw a T cell like we did earlier. Except since this one is going to be our cytotoxic T cell, I'm going to go ahead and add some more toxic looking spikes to it. Because they inject the pathogen with toxins. So, gotta give them some spikes. And this guy's like kind of like an assassin.
Look at that ice string.
These guys are pretty cool. They like will run around and just poke a pathogen and it'll die.
No, those are his eyes. It's dangerous.
Wow.
They were born
Thanks.
dangerous, so they have to look like
So I'm gonna go ahead and label this guy as my cytotoxic T. I've had a bit of practice. I've only drawn it 4 times today. I've drawn it once or twice before. What they'll do is they will bind with the pathogen, like stick to them, and then give them a little jab and inject them with a toxin. Does anybody remember the name of the toxin? It starts with a P. It starts with a perf. Perforin. There you go. The toxin is called perforin, and when the pathogen is injected with perforin, holes will start developing in the cell membrane or cell wall. So then they can't function very well if they have a whole bunch of holes in them. On the other hand, sometimes the cytokines will attract B cells. Well, it should attract B cells every time. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a B cell, color blue. And I'm going to go ahead and draw a large nucleus as well, since B cells are also lymphocytes. And I'm going to go ahead and add B cell. And B cells, as you said during the opener, don't directly attack. What they'll do is they'll make copies of themselves first. So B cells will duplicate. And the copies that they make will either have one job or a different job. Some of the B cells that are duplicated will actually turn into plasma cells. So I'm going to draw a B cell similar to what I drew before. Except since this is a plasma cell, we'll add a little bit of design to make sure they look different from each other. I don't know, just add something so they look similar but different. So a plasma cell is a type of B cell. And what they do is they produce antibodies. Antibodies are not cells. They're actually these little proteins that are shaped like the letter Y. There's a couple of different types of antibodies. The fancy name for antibodies is immunoglobulin. So all of the names of the different types of antibodies are all start with Ig for immunoglobulin. So they have IgMs, there are IgEs, there are IgGs, and depending on what type of antibody we're talking about, they each have a different function. Some of the antibodies will also attract cells to the area to help resolve the issue. Some of the antibodies are really cool. They'll literally bind to a pathogen, and even though it can't kill the pathogen, it'll prevent the pathogen from making doing any harm to your body cells. So usually a pathogen will try to take over one of your body cells, but if an antibody binds to it, it can't do that, and if it can't do that, it'll die. So they'll indirectly kill them. The way I think of antibodies is they're kind of like needy children. They'll cling on to like the parent so that the parent can't do anything. But let me know if you come up with a better analogy. That one might be offensive. Like a what? Huh? Grudge?
Wait, the grudge?
The grudge?
Oh yeah, third wheeler.
Like a third wheeler? Whoa. Okay. Okay. A boot? Yeah, this is kind of like a boot for a car. Like if you park in the wrong spot, they'll put a boot on your car, and that way you can't go anywhere. That's a good one too. Those are also good. Okay. Sometimes when B cells duplicate, you also get a type of B cell called a memory B cell. Memory B cells are very cool. They live quite a while, and they will remember the pathogen so that next time that pathogen invades the body, the memory B cell will immediately recall how to take care of the pathogen. So we have a little bit of a memory bubble here. So the memory B cell will be like, I recognize this from a few years ago. I know exactly which antibodies we need. Because there's a couple of different types of antibodies, and it does take a while for your body to think like, okay, should I make this one? Should I make that one today? Is this a bacteria or is it a virus? But the memory B cells will know right away. Sorry, this should have been more on the left-hand side, but yeah. Remembers the pathogen. And so this is what we mean by immunity. You'll have immunity from this pathogen. You can't be infected by it the next time it comes along. So theoretically then, like the chickenpox virus, there's only one virus that causes the chickenpox. The memory B cell will remember it the first time you get it, and the second time the virus comes into contact with you, the memory B cell will immediately remember and take care of it, produces the antibodies right away. You won't get sick. Theoretically. Someone in last period said they got it twice, so I was like, okay, never mind. So when you're younger, have you guys heard of the two conflicting like parenting theories, whether you should coddle your child and keep them safe from the world, or should you let them run around and lick doorknobs? Which kind of parent will you be? Because if you let a kid run around, expose them to the world, their memory B cells will start memorizing all of the pathogens sooner. And so when they get older, they won't get sick. Or you can keep them safe and maybe they'll never run into those pathogens later either. So, yeah.